When a World Cup takes place here in the Middle Kingdom, it usually has something to do with badminton, table tennis, or even speed skating. But this week, Beijing played host to the Track Cycling World Cup, which attracted some of the world's best cyclists to a city known more for table sports and roast duck. Ian Jacobs went along to the event to find out what track cycling is all about.
Cycling in China is one of the most popular ways to get around, so there's no better place than Beijing for professional riders to take part in the UCI Track Cycling World Cup. The Laoshan Velodrome was the site for cyclists from all over the world to compete in several competitions, including the individual and team pursuit and sprint. Cyclists ride along steep oval tracks consisting of two 180-degree circular bends on each side of the track, and they can reach speeds of more than 50 miles an hour. Riders lean inwards, also known as banking, to remain upright while riding at speed. Team China was well represented as hosts, and they would have to put up some of their best times before they moved on to the next stage in London next month.
The event here at the Laoshan Velodrome in Beijing is only one part of the UCI Track Cycling World Cup, and it's also a qualifier for the Olympic Games in London this summer. And while riders are focusing solely on how they can get the best time, team trainers and mechanics also play a huge part in the results.
Sandy Gilchrist has covered 6 Olympics while riding for Great Britain, and now he's a mechanic for Team Canada. Also a former bicycle shop owner for more than 30 years, he understands how vital his role is to the team.
It's quite important, it's very important. Every person in the team is important, whether the coach, the manager or the soigneur is important, that they do the job correctly so everything's okay. And it's a trust in one another that everything's fine. They've got to trust me, so because it's a cycle every 4 years. Olympics, they've got to make sure nothing can go wrong. They give us a bike, they're 100% confident nothing's going to happen and fall off, or it's all running smoothly.
And while Sandy looks after the bikes, it's up to team trainers like Stuart McDonald from Team New Zealand to make sure the riders are at their best before every race.
You've got to be your rider's friend, but you've got to be their father, you've got to be strict with them, you've got to be willing to put your arm around their shoulder when things aren't going so good. And you know, there's a big range of what you do and how you treat your riders. You treat every rider individually because they've all got their own sort of ways of approaching their events, and yeah, it's just a case of making sure that the riders are looked after with everything they need. But then from my point of view, I don't like to pamper the riders too much, keep them hungry. And you know, the motivation comes from the rider, but obviously it's reinforced from the coach.
Team trainers are responsible for making sure the riders are also in the best possible health leading up to the event. For many teams, it's their first time in China, and Stuart has quickly learned that there are some things, like how the riders react to food, that he just can't help with.
Like we've got a rider down the hospital at the moment with some bowel trouble. So, you know, that's beyond my realm, and, you know, that'll get taken care of there.
But for the most part, team mechanics and trainers are pushing their riders from start to finish. For East West Sports, I'm Ian Jacobs.
Ian now joins us in the studio. Now, Ian, you mentioned that the tournament there was part of a qualifying tournament for the Olympics. Now, can you give us a little context about this tournament and where it fits into the track cycling landscape?
Well, this actual tournament was one part of the World Cup. The last one was held in Colombia. Kazakhstan was another venue this year. And the next one is actually held in London, which is going to be used as sort of the main measuring stick before the Olympics this summer. Now, a lot of teams were there. Obviously, Team China was there. They were very focused, and they were there in full force. Some teams brought their full teams out there. Other teams, like the New Zealand team, who I spoke to, they brought their second team. Their path was already sort of laid out for the Olympics, and they have a lot of depth. But the Chinese team, they really wanted to represent well. They really wanted to show that on their sort of home track, as you will, they were going to have a good performance.
Now, speaking of this crazy track here where these guys are riding around, which they apparently call the Velodrome. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Velodrome, at least for me anyway, I just have memories of watching old sports packages and seeing this Velodrome once or twice a year. You see these guys riding around this big track and thinking, what the hell is it? Basically, the riders, they have to lean inwards to stay upright, much like you see in motorsports. So the Velodrome itself, the one that was built here, was built for the Olympics. It's now considered one of the best in the world.
You mentioned mountain biking and road biking. Now, about the actual bikes, what's different about a track cycle?
Well, the bike is the bike differs in the fact that it's got no brakes. and B, it's a single gear depending on what venue you're competing in, whether it's team pursuit or sprint. So in that sense, it is very different. The bikes are obviously the most important part of the whole aspect, kind of like motorsports, where the car is obviously a very important part of it. Stuart McDonald, who is the trainer for the New Zealand team, who was featured in the piece, said that when a crash occurs, funnily enough, the first thing that they check on is the bike itself, which is kind of a funny thing there. The rider might be in pain and they want to make sure that the bike is okay. But since the bike plays a huge part, and there is a difference between the bike of road, mountain, and track.
Well, great to see some lesser-known sports being covered here in China. You're watching East West Sports on BON. Next up, we get dialed in.